Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe you can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real fans, real talk. We as real as you thought. Real fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. Oh man, goddamn, we got a whole lot to get into this week. The knockout heard around the world. Plus, there's some NBA action going on, NFL action going on. A couple of teams has been eliminated. A couple of teams still in the hunt. But yeah, man, it's definitely been a good week. Plus, guess what, y'all? Christmas is in a couple of days. You gotta love that. But before we do get into all of that, let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, sir?
It's really good, bro. Like you said, we had a fight that I see people want to talk about. It's in the comment section. The playoff picture is starting to become a little more clear in the NFL. And then we're approaching what you and I both feel is really the start of the NBA season, which is Christmas Day. So hope everybody's enjoying this holiday season, but we got a lot to get into, man.
Should we start with the knockout heard around the world?
Let's start there.
All right. So a couple of things on that one. What we saw on Friday night was what Eric and I knew from the beginning. It's that Jake Paul would not do well with an actual boxer who's right now going full throttle in the sport. And that's how Jake Paul looked in that fight. He looked like somebody that should not be in the ring with a professional boxer. Okay? This ain't Nate Robinson. This ain't none of these, over the hill former MMA fighters. It's not a low tier, really low tier amateur boxer, even though technically you lost that one too. Okay? This ain't none of that. I don't know. I mean, for $92 million, I might get in the ring with a with a certified premier prize fighter. Like let's be clear. That's what Anthony Joshua is. He is a prize fighter. He is a heavyweight champion of the world. And whether or not he had 15 months off, he ain't that far removed from the sport of boxing. I didn't think Jake Paul had a chance in this fight going into it, but the way he was dancing around that ring. Eric, it really did. Like somebody had the video up of the Martin Tommy Hearns fight. It really did look like that because that's what Martin was doing in that fight. He was on the floor grabbing Tommy Hearns by the ankle, running around the ring. Like it was a joke, and the fact that it took us this long. Listen, you know what, Jake? You made your bread. Listen, I don't never knock nobody hustle. You made your bread. You made a whole lot of money. Doing this. We all knew it was a bunch of BS. You're not really like that. You wasn't ready to step into a ring with no real boxer. I don't even know what you thought you was going to do with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, oh man, that would have been even worse. But you went up against a heavyweight, a former heavyweight champion of the world, and Anthony Joshua, and he beat the brakes off you, broke your jaw in two. I ain't never seen nobody get a double broken jaw before at one time. That was crazy in itself, but I'm glad, so sad, but I am glad. Now we can move on.
Yeah, I mean, we knew you can't duplicate or you can't practice for the amount of experience it takes to be Anthony Joshua, right? You're talking about somebody, like you said, is a two-time heavyweight champion of the world, been in there with some of the best fighters of all time, but then also his complete resume as an amateur. You're talking about somebody who's been boxing at a high level for over 20 years, right? At 37 years old, he was in the Olympics when he was a teenager, whatever Britain's Golden Glove version of that is. So an extensive amateur record. You're never going to be able to duplicate that. And that's why I thought all along, the only reason I thought the layoff would affect Joshua is because I said, I don't know if he's going to come in with the killer instinct. I was like, but when it's all said and done, he's going to win the fight. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what happened. You saw for the first 4 rounds, he was also trying to get himself a little comfortable as well, moving around the ring. And then 5th round, once he starts landing shots, it's like Jake Paul, again, you're not skilled enough to handle the offensive barrage that you're about to get from Anthony Joshua now. Because he's been setting you up all fight to get you in positions and seeing where you blocking, where your hands dropping to, where's your head rolling to, if I throw this punch. So it was never gonna be.
And those are things that them guys that you was going against before, they can't do that.
But I'm be honest, I never. That's why I never knocked Jake Paul for that, because to me I looked at it as two inexperienced guys, right? Yeah. Now for the showmanship of it, and obviously for the promotion, he talks a lot of shit. Like he said, "Oh, my jaw is broken, but I'll fight Canelo in 10 days." No, you won't. Like we know.
Stop. Stop.
Anthony Joshua is nowhere near where he once was as a fighter, right?
Yeah.
And yet Anthony Joshua completely embarrassed you for really the two rounds. The 2 rounds that he wanted to fight you, he embarrassed you, right? So there's no way you could have got in there with anybody else. But I think ultimately the win for Jake Paul in all this is what he's able to do numbers-wise. And when the numbers come out tomorrow for Netflix trip, they're already hinting that we're looking at 20+ million people watch the fight. Mm-hmm. And from a business standpoint, if you're telling me you got 20+ million people to tune in to watch you get your ass beat, then from the business side of things, it's a win, because we know over 70 million people tuned in when he fought Mike Tyson. And so ultimately, I've said all along, this is what Jake Paul is trying to do. And this is why I don't knock what he's trying to do for the sport of boxing, because I believe that his ultimate goal is to get the promotional side of things so coveted and kind of create the bidding wars for MVP promotions that then he can go to bigger fighters and say, hey, look, if you're having trouble with your promoter, come over to MVP, because I can get you Netflix. I can probably get you on Amazon Prime. I can get you on some of these bigger platforms and get you a bigger bag. And Amanda Serrano is his kind of protege. She was, though she was a great women's fighter, nobody knew who she was. And now she don't fight for nothing less than like $10 million at this point. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what his ultimate goal in all this was. We have clips out there where you and I said he was never going to be a champion because that process takes too long. You would have to fight 3 to 4 times a year against low-level guys in fights that nobody would pay attention to. There's no real money in. Yeah, there's no money in that. For the guys that do that, that's because this is their passion that they grew up wanting to box. But for somebody who's trying to be a businessman and turn a profit, you're not about to spend the next year fighting guys that nobody's ever heard of and being on other people's undercard, barely making $50,000, $60,000. You're not going to do that. So he's fast tracking the promotion side of things. And that to me is where the win is, because now you got people who don't watch boxing who tuned in for Jake Paul, right? You got people, and when I say this, I'm talking more from the women's side of things, because the men will talk about it, but when the women want to sit down and watch the fight, that's because there's name recognition attached to it. Right. So now when you got women, when I'm hearing women at work all day on on Friday talking about, I'm gonna watch the fight tonight. You watching the fight tonight? That's when it clicks to me. Like, he's won. This is what he's been trying to do. He's got all the eyes on him. And like I said, if the numbers are as appealing as they originally claimed when they drop tomorrow, if he did 20+ million views over the weekend, he won. Yeah.
So listen, now we move on. I would advise him not to fight Canelo.
He's not going to fight Canelo. Canelo's never taken that fight.
Listen, you get that thing up to 150 million, he might think about it.
Yeah, but Canelo could do 100 mil on his own. Well, I think, like I said, what Jake Paul did, like there's the, I don't know how true this is. I got to look into it, but Earn Your Leisure was reporting that, I guess Joshua had like some back taxes or whatever in the UK he had to pay. So his initial prize for this fight was like $90-something million. And it was like after the back taxes he had to pay in the UK and the taxes he would have to pay on the earned here, he still is going to walk away with close to about $50 million, right? But again, if you're telling me that the guy who's the B side, because this is an MVP promotion, this is Jake Paul's show. Even though Joshua's the established boxer, it's Jake Paul's show. If you're telling me the B side is making $90 million, what the hell was Jake Paul pulling in there?
Well, they had a thing up where they showed what Jake Paul made, Joshua made, everybody's favorite Top G that got knocked out too.
It's goofy.
Got cats in here eating raw onions and whatnot, doing stupidity for a clown who just got knocked out by a guy that couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag.
Yep.
But they showed, and I think his was at like 90 something million. He was the highest. Anthony Joshua's was, I believe, 92 or 93 million. I think his was like 98 million, I think. I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but it was like 90 something million as well. But listen, from the financial standpoint, like I said, I ain't mad at you. I love a good swindle every once in a while. If you can listen, if you could do it, don't nobody get hurt. I mean, obviously it's a sport of boxing, so people get hurt, but you know what I mean. But I ain't gonna knock your hustle. You know what I'm saying? And I've said in the past, I respect the fact that you are taking it serious as far as your training goes. I respect the fact that you're willing to get in the ring. The part that I have a problem with is when there's this narrative where you think that you're going to be a real fighter who's like fighting right now currently, and we know that that's not the case. Even with like with the fights that he's had, there's been a lot of times watching a fight where I'm like, yeah, if you were fighting a real fighter, you would have got knocked out in this moment right here.
Yeah.
Like there were so many times in these fights, even with Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had fought Mike 5 years earlier, even like if you had fought Mike right after he fought Roy Jones, I think it would have looked even different because ring experience is real.
Yeah.
And it's not about just getting in the ring and throwing some punches. Then you got to fight. It's also about how you're going to respond after you get hit. And that's the thing. When you spoke earlier about Anthony Joshua and how he was able to pick Jake Paul apart, because one of those things was he realized that Jake Paul might have knocked a couple of cats out, but them punches hit different when you're talking about a heavyweight. And
that's very true. The punches it did, but also Jake Paul's not experienced enough to set up the punches. Exactly. Right. Again, Joshua has seen a lot in 20 years of amateur and professional experience. And the setup of the punches is just as important as the actual landing of the punch.
Yes.
I've got to set this punch up so that you don't see it coming. I got to get you in positions that I can hurt you. Yes. And so that's why I think early on you saw Jake Paul kind of on his bike, because it was nothing he could do. If you just go back, you don't even have to go back and watch the whole fight. The most telling thing to me from the jump was the moment the fight started, Anthony Joshua took control of the center of the ring, and you could see Jake Paul didn't know how to adjust to it because he don't have that type of footwork where he's going to be able to fight off his back foot and allow you to control the center of the ring. He needed to be the aggressor. And Joshua was like, no, I'm not. Why would I let you dictate the dance? I'm going to be the center of the ring, and you're going to have to fight off your back foot and figure those things out.
Exactly. Right. And that's what we saw. He picked them apart. And once he realized Jake Paul couldn't do nothing with it, because Jake Paul caught him with a shot now.
He landed a couple clean ones.
But he ate it.
Yeah.
Like you could tell that it wasn't nothing to him. And once that happens, once a fighter realizes, oh, I could take the punch, you're in a world of trouble, because that confidence level starts to rise up real fast. So, again, like I said, I'm just glad this is over with. Like, if you really, wanted to be on some, I want to fight, you would have needed to really get in the ring with some guys on the low tier level to mid tier level first before you just jump to a guy that got 20 years worth of experience and was a heavyweight champion of the world. That's just crazy. But crazy got your jaw broken in two places. So
right.
Wishing you a speedy recovery, because I don't want nobody to die in the ring. But now we can put all this nonsense to bed and move on. Let's get to these comments, because I know they're going to be killing us if we don't get to everybody's comment today. Shout out to Kyrie. Did the refs ruin the Lions' potential comeback versus the Steelers? I mean, it's kind of possible they got bailed out in back-to-back weeks by the refs. It was a good game, but I don't like to give people the out by saying it's the ref, and it's something that we talk about. And again, whether it's my team or not, Eric, we've spoken about this plenty of times. if you don't put yourself in a situation to whereas the refs can't control the outcome of the game, we don't even have to have this conversation. You know, so yeah, calls is going to get missed, and when it's your team, you're going to feel a lot more upset about it. But the reality is, like I said, if you don't put yourself in a position to where the refs can cost you a game at the end, we don't even have to have this conversation.
All right, so let's be clear. The touchdown that passer that should have been to Amon St. Brown for the lead, I did not think that was a pick play. I thought the receiver, you could see him getting jammed by the corner into the slot corner, and he even tries to kind of get skinny just so he doesn't touch him. I didn't think that was a pass interference, but they called it. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, you can't even put yourself in that position. The Detroit Lions were a 7-point favorite coming into this game. So the fact that they were down 29-17 with 7 minutes to go, yes, right, speaks to the fact that you were not playing well prior to that call. Also, the real reason the Lions lost this game is because they allowed the Pittsburgh Steelers to do something that Steelers hadn't done all year, and that's run the ball. The Steelers ran the ball trip for 230 yards in this game, which allowed the Steelers to control time possession. Time possession, 34 minutes for the Steelers, 25 minutes for the Lions. So those are the things to me that contributed to why the Lions lost. Jahmyr Gibbs was completely shut down as a running back in this game. He had 10 catches out the backfield, 60-plus yards. But in terms of a runner, I think he only had 4 yards rushing in this game. The team as a whole only had 18 yards rushing. So they couldn't get anything going on the run game, but yet they were allowing Pittsburgh to get their run game going. Jaylen Warren broke a bunch of big runs in this game, and that's why the Lions lost. I think if they had got by and won yesterday, it would have been a little bit of fool's gold, because then people would have said, oh, well, they're ready for the playoffs. They're back. No, they're not back. They actually played a pretty terrible game yesterday, which was shocking when you consider all week it was known this was a must-win scenario for them. And they caught a break. The Packers losing on Saturday night kind of set the stage where if the Lions could have won, they would have taken control of their playoff destiny. They did not do that. So I thought there were other reasons aside from the refs why they lost this game.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Eric, I want you to take this one here. Because you've been talking about the Bucks this whole season. Panthers defeat the Bucks, take over first in the NFC South. First of all, congratulations, Panthers. I'm just shocked this happened. But Eric, go ahead, and I'm gonna let you take this one.
Yeah, the shout out to the Panthers. It's been one of the weirder seasons with the Carolina Panthers. They just lost to the Saints recently. But if you look back at some of their wins this year against the Rams, now against the Bucks, Bryce Young at times has been up and down, and it's cost them at times, especially early in the season. But I think it's cool that they've been able to find themselves. Their defense is playing really well. Bryce Young has had his moments, and he showed it yesterday. He played really well. And I'm just happy for them that they've stuck with it. And now they've allowed Bryce Young to develop into their quarterback. He still got a lot of flaws, still has a lot of things he needs to work on his game to be better. But ultimately, this is the position you want to be in. You're 8-7. You have control of the division. Now, they do get another game with Tampa. I believe it's the last game of the season, and that game is going to be in Tampa. So the division's not clinched up. They still got a lot of work to do. And unless Tampa loses next week and Carolina wins, last week of the season is going to be for the division regardless. So I think the Panthers can't get ahead of themselves. The real question now, and I've said this plenty of times with a lot of young teams when they have success, is now how do you play with expectations? How are you able to maintain this now that people are going to look at you and you're leading the division and you're expected to go into the playoffs? So there's going to be pressure now on Bryce Young as they head into that next game next week, Trip. I think that they've got to find a way. It's a tough game. They get the Seahawks at home, and then they got to go on a road for Tampa Bay. Seahawks got a lot to play for. Seahawks are obviously trying to win their own division. But if you're the Panthers,
that was a big win the other day.
Yeah, that was a big win. But if you're the Panthers, again, you get 2 chances to win the division. You got to win one of these last 2 games to be able to win the division. If you do that, I think that's a major step up when you consider where they were at earlier this year, even last year when they benched Bryce Young, to now be in a position where you could be in the playoffs.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we got next. Is the Steelers offense real deal?
No.
Or fool's gold? It's definitely fool's gold. Okay. I want to see now what they're going to do these next 2 weeks. Because now you ain't even gonna have your premier wide receiver because DK got himself suspended for 2 games, and it's gonna be interesting to see what they do because I don't know if you're gonna be able to run for 200 yards back-to-back weeks like you just did to kind of save the team. Now you took away your best weapon on offense, who's also one of the better wide receivers in football for the next 2 weeks. We're gonna see what this offense is made of. I'll tell you that much.
I think I'm not sold on the offense. Now, I want to give them a lot of credit, though, because this last 3-week stretch, when they had to win these games, they won. And Aaron Rodgers has played very well in these games. It's been a clean game. But the reason I don't think it's sustainable is because, like you said, I don't think they're going to run for 200 yards every week. They're not. This is not who they're built to be. This is not who they are. Because if this is who they are, we would have seen it all year. It would have just started showing up over the last couple of weeks. Mind you, against 2 poor run defenses, because they did it against Miami and now they did it against Detroit. They get Cleveland next week. They're favored against Cleveland, but Cleveland does have a good defense. I want to see if they struggle to run the ball next week. Like you said, without DK, what are they able to do offensively? But to me, it's fool's gold because they're probably going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're a scary opponent for anybody in the playoffs. And I know you don't want to hear that trip that they're going to make the playoffs, but it looks like I think it's over in Baltimore.
We're going to listen. I can't give up the fight until we mathematically eliminate. You know that, Eric.
Well, I mean, you're going to need help. You're going to need help. Cleveland's got to win next week to set up the matchup, at the end of the season. But you got to do your part too, and Baltimore hasn't done that.
Myles Garrett ain't get the sack record yet, right?
Nah, he'll get it next week.
Yeah, we need that. Get that. Listen, shatter the record next week if you want. I know it's, the record is, held by my guy, Michael Strahan. But in this case, I'm gonna be okay if you go in there, shatter the record this week. Get about 5 of them things, man. They ain't got nobody to throw to. It's all good, Let's see here. Oh, well, yeah, we just kind of talked about it. But Ron says DK Metcalf involved in altercation with fan. Metcalf suspended 2 games. Yeah, it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost your team. So especially when you're in the midst of a playoff run, this is the last thing that you need. But it is what it is. Let me go to Squeezy. He says, "What did the Patriots prove in the comeback win?" I mean, we kind of already knew they was legit, so it's not like this, changed that because they've been playing very good football all season. To to not really have the biggest names, the biggest star power on their team, they just win football games, man. They just come out every week. The running game, the pass game. Shout out to Drake May. He's having an MVP caliber season. Shout out to what's your running back's name, Eric, in fantasy football? Henderson.
Travion Henderson, yeah.
Travion Henderson had an amazing season. Even Stevenson has been contributing to the running game, so the running game looks good. Stephon Diggs has been a great addition for them. So yeah, and the defense is solid. They've got great coaching. They all legit. They all the real deal.
I think what they proved with the comeback is that they are a true Super Bowl contender. Diggs, 9 catches, 130 yards. That's what you bring Stephon Diggs in for. When you need the plays down the stretch, and we always talk about that. If you want to really judge a quarterback, judge him by his weapons. And they don't have a lot of weapons, but they got 2 really good veterans. And Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry, they got 2 guys that Drake May can rely on and throw the ball to. And when they needed it yesterday, that's who he went to. But I think, again, this is a team that's legitimate and could go to the Super Bowl this year. And AFC's wide open, right? We know that. There's no Patrick Mahomes in the way this year. Obviously, Lamar doesn't look like he's going to make it. The most established quarterbacks in the AFC are going to be Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers, who's nowhere near what he once was. But those are the 2 most accomplished quarterbacks in this playoff. And other than that, it's going to be wide open. Pause. It's going to be Drake May. It's going to be Bo Nix. It's going to be Justin Herbert. It looks like it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. So for the Patriots, if you could finish with one of those top 2 seeds and know that, hey, we guarantee ourselves some home games here, and we know what that weather looks like in Foxborough in January, right? It's a tough place to play. And so I think that's what that win proved yesterday, that they are not some fluky, flash in the pan team. They were coming off the loss to Buffalo. after they blew the lead in Buffalo to then come back and win the game yesterday the way they did. And I think to cap it off with that the strip tackle at the end of that game, kind of to seal it, showed again who they are as a team. I like the Patriots. They're really, really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. Lamar says Drake may take a leap Sunday night.
Yeah,
Yes and no, because the real leaps come when you win in the playoffs.
that's
But
true.
you know what I'm saying? But yes, but that was a great win against a team that has really trying to make a playoff push. You know what I mean? So yes, but like I said, the real leaps come in the playoffs. You still got to do it in the playoffs, and it's looking like they're going to have at least one home game. If just if we're going off of the standings right now, but yeah, you do have to show improve in the playoffs. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll say he took a leap from the standpoint of obviously it's only his second year. So he's never played meaningful football this late in the season, right? Last year, the season was already over. But again, to have the performance that he had against Buffalo, where he played well and they ended up losing, they dropped 31 points, they just lost. And then they'd have to go on the road and have a comeback victory. I do feel like that's signs of taking a leap, of understanding the moment and understanding what it means to your team.
And you got to think, this is an organization where there's a certain pedigree that the New England Patriots have. Okay, this is a team that knows how to construct a good football team, and on both sides of the football and mix that with a great coaching staff. So then this is what I love. And when we talk about because I know we're gonna talk about Shador Sanders a little bit later on, but this is what I love. When a football team is putting their young quarterback in a position to not only win, but to be successful long term. That's what I love about the New England Patriots and what they've been able to do with Drake May, because we saw the signs last season that he was going to be all right, but I don't think anybody saw an MVP level quarterback last season. I don't think anybody saw coming into this season that they would dominate the way they've dominated this season. So shout out to the New England Patriots organization, because they know how to put a football club together.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give them credit, man. It wasn't significant changes. It was bringing in a veteran receiver. It was obviously bringing in a head coach. Yeah, they draft their tight end. They draft their running back. They draft their left tackle. But ultimately, it was just really the young guys elevating their game and then getting the coaching necessary to elevate everybody else. But I think, they've done it the right way, as you said.
Yep. All right, Lamar, come on, man. Don't ask me these kind of questions. I get emotional, man. Ready to write off the Ravens? No, I'm not. We're going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. I'm going to the last of the last. If we are mathematically eliminated, that's when I'm ready to write them off for the season. But not forever. I ain't going to write them off forever. Just, it happens. What are you going to do?
Trip, you are contractually obligated to say that. I'm writing them off, Lamar. I've had an issue with the Ravens for a few weeks now. I've talked about it here. I didn't like early in the season when they were blowing some of those leads that they were blowing. They found a way. I thought, when they got Lamar back and they had that soft spot of the schedule, they were going to get hot, which they did. And then they just blown some golden opportunities. They blew the opportunity to beat Pittsburgh that would have given them control over the division. They blew this opportunity last night with the lead at home. And so I'm writing them off. I think what I saw yesterday from them was just a team that no longer believes in their coaching staff and they don't trust their coach. Harbaugh, I think, has lost the locker room. After Henry scored yesterday, he never had another carry in that game, Trip. And I know some people will say, oh, that was punishment for fumbling earlier in the game. Whatever. You don't bring Derrick Henry over to then disrespect him and put him on the bench.
Yeah, and he had 2 touchdowns at that point. So what are we talking?
And you're talking about putting him on the bench when you didn't have Lamar at that. It'd be one thing if you had Lamar and you said, hey, we're going to go with just Lamar and a different running back. You didn't now. So now you got a backup running back and a backup quarterback with the game on the line on the field. So I think Harbaugh has lost that locker room. And I also think that the Ravens, it's time for them. They're going to need a new voice in that locker room because they've had some success. Lamar's won multiple MVPs. They've been in the playoffs, but they've only been to one AFC championship game. they're going to need a new voice in that locker room, and I think Harbaugh's gone after this year. So that's why, for me, I'm writing them off. I think that the season's done.
I'm just a little upset that your name is Lamar and you gonna ask me this question right now. I'm emotional, man. Come on, don't do that to me, man. Oh man, let me go to Ron. He says great Shador Sanders performance and lost to Bills. I mean, it's difficult to grade, to give a realistic grade, because everything is just so bad. So I don't know, if, like we were just speaking about earlier with the Patriots putting Drake May into position to be successful. I just, I really don't know. What I can say is that Shador deserves to be in this league. He deserved to at a minimum go in the second round draft, but I think it should have been the first round draft. He also got hurt in that game as well. Which was it, pinky, his hand, something like that.
Yeah, his hand got busted up.
But I mean, I guess if you want to say, I guess I'll say a C minus. Okay, I'll give him. I'll give it a C minus.
I was gonna say a C minus as well.
Yeah, but again, it's a little difficult to really assess the situation when it's like every week I feel like they're putting this kid in position to lose. If it's not the risk thing, you giving them the wrong risk, you know what I mean? Like it's just everything that's just adding up with this team, But yeah, I'll say C minus.
Yeah, I was gonna say a C minus. I mean, he had the really good opening drive where they go down and score a touchdown. Then things got a little stagnant, and like you said, he busted up his hand. It's tough to critique the second half of that game because they were without their running back, Judkins, who suffered a really severe injury on the field. And not to use that as an excuse, but you got to remember that when you see a teammate injure himself in that way, it's kind of tough to refocus and get back into game mode. So I don't want to be too critical of his second half performance, but I will say that there were spots where I felt he held onto the ball too long. Like when he took that intentional grounding late in the game. There are times that I feel like Shador is trying too hard to make the big play down the field as opposed to just making the quick play, and that's not all his fault. The O-line isn't that good. The weapons aren't that good. And I think he'll learn over time that, listen, sometimes just get rid of the ball quick and give my receivers a chance to run as opposed to holding on to the ball, trying to make the big play. And then what ends up happening is I'm going to take unnecessary hits. We get unnecessary penalties because I'm holding the ball too long. So, again, it wasn't a great performance, but based on what he has to work with, I think a C or C minus is pretty fair.
Yeah. Let me see. Will said if you put on the Browns uniform,
Yeah, I mean, Will ain't lying.
That's a fact. That is an absolute fact. All right, let me see what else we got up here. Hold on, where was we at with it? Okay, here we go. Pooh, what up? She says, Draymond Green, did y'all see him hit the white boy for the Suns and get ejected? Did he deserve it? Are the Warriors scared to check Green because he has been so impactful to their titles? Did he deserve it? Here's the problem, right? It's Draymond Green we talking about,
mm-hmm.
and the crazy thing is we've had this conversation in the past, and I'm going to say the same thing that I'm about to say right now. The refs are not going to cut Draymond Green any slack because of his history. So even if it may have been a situation where he could have gone the other way, if it's Draymond Green, no, we calling you out. You got to go because we're too used to this. It's not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th time. Like Draymond Green is always involved in something, so they're not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So you already know if you, Draymond Green, get into something on the court, you're going without a doubt. They're kicking you out. So whether or not you deserve it doesn't matter because you did it to yourself with all of the years of punching guys, kicking guys in the nuts, pushing guys down, chokeholds, all this stuff that you have done over the years is what got you here to where they will not ever give you, Draymond Green, the benefit of the doubt. And when you're not producing for the Warriors like you once were, when everybody was in their prime, and that was we could have swept some things under the rug. When you're winning, we can sweep a lot under the rug. But when you losing, it's gonna be a big deal every time. Now as far as them being scared to check him, I mean that's the past. The past is the past. This is the business, and we know from experience and from listening to the players, this is very much a business, and when it's your time to go, they will get you up out of there without a shadow of a doubt. So I don't think it's a situation where they're scared to because of what he did in the past, because this is a what have you done for me lately league.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they scared to check him, so I don't agree with that thinking. Did he deserve it? Yeah, he deserved it. I think what bothered me more about the whole situation was you get into it with Conor Gillespie. When you gonna approach Dylan Brooks for what he did to Steph? Because if you were gonna do something and get thrown out the game, you should have just went immediately to Dylan Brooks and pressed him right then and there. And then, if I get kicked out, I get kicked out. But, the antics at this point with Draymond are super corny because, as you mentioned, you're not winning. You're not winning anything. So it's one thing when you're the enforcer of a team that's winning championships or at least competing for championship. When you're trying to be an enforcer on a team that isn't a championship caliber team, you know what you look like? You just look like a goon. You look like a scrub. You look like a scrub looking to make noise and get attention. That's all you look like. So I don't think that the Warriors are scared to check him. I just think that Draymond at times thinks like, oh, I've got to be this fiery guy and this is how I help lead my team. But really it's detrimental to what the Warriors are at this point.
Yeah. And it's only going to cost them more and more. So, and see, now I got to go back a little bit. So now when we have this back and forth with Kate,
yep,
and Draymond, and he's basically saying, because just go back to what you said, is that you're picking and choosing.
No, that's a fact.
So now it kind of gives more validity to what Kenyon Martin was saying a couple of weeks ago, because you literally just mentioned you're supposed to be the enforcer. Why you ain't get at Dylan Brooks? You go for for the other dude. Like, come on.
I agree with that. 1,000%. This makes Kenyon Martin look like I said, that he was 100% right.
Yep. So it is what it is. Where we going with this now? All right. Shout out to Kyrie. we getting a little political. All right. It's that time of the show, I guess. What was both of you all's first thoughts when the Jeffrey Epstein files came out? I didn't really have too many thoughts because I know it was going to be a bunch of BS. They was going to try to hide certain things. They was going to try to protect this president when anybody that has half a brain knows that was his man's in them. They don't see him in pictures from before this. It didn't. First of all, I watched the documentary. Was it on Netflix? The Epstein documentary on Netflix. So, you know what I mean? I seen a lot, the people like Clinton, Trump, you know what I'm saying? Like we had already seen that. But now all y'all gonna do is try to whitewash it just so you could protect, the clown that's sitting in the White House right now. So, honestly, I don't care because y'all ain't gonna do nothing about it. I'm just learning more and more. That certain people in this country want to protect pedophiles and people that are okay with sexual assault if they got for the protection.
I laughed when I saw the pictures that came out because the problem that we have. What happened?
The fake Michael Jackson picture that they tried to throw in there.
Yeah, the picture that
was not from that at all.
First of all, was not from Epstein Island.
Yeah.
And then they try to black out the children's faces as if they were victims when it was actually Mike's and Diana Ross's son there. Yeah. The problem that we have in society and in this country is that we have a very short attention span. And the president and his administration, they know that. And so what they're trying to do is they're going to delay putting out the meat and potatoes of this investigation, right? So they're going to give you this filler. Oh, look at this picture of Bill Clinton, right, with Epstein. What nobody ever talks about, though, is that Epstein, before people knew what he was, he acquired a lot of his wealth through real estate. So a lot of the wealthy friends he made were through real estate deals and being able to broker back, behind the scenes type deals. So being in a picture with Epstein is not the end all be all, right? It sounds worse because we know who he was later on.
Yeah.
But in the moment, if you met Epstein, and again, this is where the correlation to Donald Trump comes in. We know how Donald Trump, the name Trump, right, is dealt in real estate for 50 plus years. So the connection to Epstein was through real estate. Now, beyond that is where people get in trouble. How many times were you on an island? What type of messages were you guys exchanging? What other things were you involved in? So what this administration tried to do by putting out these pictures is they're trying to slow play it, hoping that something else will distract you from what's really going on, right? We see pictures, and what do? Out of all the pictures, what do they try to do? They want to put out another president to deflect and distract from the fact that it's not the current president that's in the picture. Oh, look at Bill. Bill did it too, though. He was there. Listen, at the end of the day, if Bill Clinton had anything to do with child sex trafficking, child prostitution, he's a horrible motherfucker too, right? We're not excusing him. Ain't nobody excusing anybody. But guess what? Bill Clinton is not our current sitting president. So we want to know what our current sitting president did, right? Who, oh, by the way, just a few months ago, what did he tell us, Trip? Oh, there's a hoax. There's no such thing as the Epstein list. But when he ran his campaign, did he not say, I promise and I guarantee I'm going to release the list? So which one is it? Is it a hoax or is it real? And then on top of that, he signed that weeks ago to allow the release of the Epstein files. And they've been slowly trickling out information. We know why, because they're redacting names. They're covering up parts of the story. They know some of the but they know some of the most powerful and influential people in this country are on that list. And so rather than embarrass them, they're going to black out the names. They're going to redact parts of the story. And then when they put it out, now we got to play the guessing game. Well, is this referring to this person? Is this referring to that person? So we know what was going on already.
Yes, now.
Right. That's all they're doing. So like I said, because of the lack of a true attention span that we have in this country, they're going to keep slow playing this until the point where people just move on to something else and forget that we never got the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Because again, he ran on this campaign a year ago. Last year in November, when he was debating and campaigning, he promised that he was going to release the Epstein files. And here we are a year later, and we're just getting small pieces of the information. We have not got the files yet. We have not got the list yet. So what are we waiting for?
And my thing is, who the hell cares? Put the list out. You're protecting people that are assaulting children. Who are y'all crazy? Like, is it just me? Am I bugging right now?
No, you're not bugging. But it's like I said, they won't put it out. The impact of this list is far greater than we understand. And I keep trying to explain this to people. I want the list to come out as well, but I want people to understand this. You saw what, I'm going to use him as an example, and I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm just going off the speculation and then what his actions were. Mm-hmm. You saw when the rumor started about Russell Simmons, what he did, right? He left the country. He went to Bali. He went somewhere where he could not be extradited back. He's been in Bali now, I think, 2 years at this point. So think about what's going to happen when the list actually comes out and you're going to see all these multi-millionaires and billionaires on this list. Mm-hmm. They're going to collect all of their liquid assets, all their cash, and they're going to leave the country. And I think the fear of this country and the powers that be is that if we get this mass exodus of the wealthy, that it's going to affect our economy so bad that we will go into a full-on recession.
Yeah, but I mean, how many people was on the list? And if that, like,
I mean, remember we're talking about something that was going on the island over a decade, right? 15 years, 20 years.
That's what I'm saying. Do you like? Is it a situation where it's like, all right, is this like 100 people, 200 people on this list, 400? Like, how many people is actually on the list? That, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I don't care about a number. Whoever it is, if you're on the list, we need to know, because here's the thing, right? All right, now you have the victims who have already suffered, and in my heart and my prayers go out to all of the victims. Absolutely. Right? The problem is, by not exposing the people that are on this list, you are allowing them the opportunity to do this again.
Correct.
If they're not already still doing it.
Correct.
I'm saying, because you got people that is not going to clamor up just because, you know what I'm saying, cats found out about it. So you're giving them the opportunity to continue this type of behavior by not exposing them. And I don't even care if they leave the country. I mean, obviously I want them to be punished, but you know what I'm saying? But if you're going to dip out, then it's like, all right, good, good riddance. But you ain't no, you can't never come back here.
I know. But again, like I said, I think that there are people who know that there are people who didn't do anything wrong themselves, who are fearful of what impact this will have on the economy when it actually comes out. And I think I believe she was on Kimmel when Kamala Harris talked about why the Biden administration didn't release the files. And she basically said, we tried to, long story short, because when I looked at the comments, I could tell there are a lot of people who just don't understand things or don't process information the same way. Basically, what she was saying was, we looked at the files, but we wanted the Department of Justice to do their part and separate it from a personal witch hunt. Meaning, had the Biden administration said, we have the list and now we're coming after you, it would have looked like, hey, we're trying to attack you guys politically for obviously personal gain. Because if they attack Donald Trump in that moment, what does that turn into? That turns into his rallying cry now. Because you see the Trumpers, right? In their eyes, he could do no wrong. So if the Biden administration had came out holding the files in their hand and said, we have proof Donald Trump did it, and we're going after Donald Trump right now, MAGA would have went crazy and they would have supported the man even more. So what Kamala was saying was that we wanted the DOJ to do it so that it didn't look like it was a personal witch hunt from us. It wouldn't look like we were trying to attack them. It would look like the Department of Justice has the proof, and now they're doing their job to investigate this, as opposed to the president holding the file, which is what the current president likes to do. He likes to be judge and jury when that's not his place. So that's what the Biden administration did not want to do. But I also think a part of that was in fear of, if we start going after people, there's going to be a lot of money that gets pulled out of our account. And are we ready for that?
Let me ask you this, Eric. And I know people want to say, oh, well, we got to bring the race card into this. But if this list was filled with nothing but black people, black and brown people, do you think we've seen it already?
Absolutely.
Rich or not?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Everything I love, I believe that rich, poor, whoever it was, if this list was majority black and brown people on this list, with maybe one or two white people scattered in there, we wouldn't have no discussion.
But again, like what did I just say about the current administration, right? Because they would have used that as their reasoning to attack a group of people. Yeah. That would have become their reasoning, right? The same way that they try to group all immigrants in as criminals, right? And they'll use, right? They turn it into a personal a vendetta based off of one or two people that might have done something. They'll lump everybody in. If this list, if 80% of this list was black and brown, Donald Trump would have been standing at the steps with the file, like, we're going after it right now. Right now. Exactly. I just deployed the National Guard into these cities. We're knocking on their doors today.
Exactly. All right. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Oh yeah, we know that.
All right. Let me get back up here. Where we at with it? Can this version of Caleb lead the Bears to a Super Bowl? Because I don't want it to come off like I'm just hating on the kid, but I just don't believe so. I just don't. Winning a Super Bowl is not easy to do.
It's not, especially when you've never even been in the playoffs. To do it like in your first time in the playoffs, that's tough.
And it's not even just him. There's a lot of people that I don't
Right.
feel like already. So you know what I'm saying. But yeah, it's I got to see you in the playoffs first. Like, ask me this question after the wild card round after the playoffs, because when we talked about earlier with Drake May, with with taking that leap, you know. So here's the thing even with the Bears, like I have seen the inconsistencies this season with the Bears, right? To where I will say, like with the Patriots, I look at that team and I'm like, no, this is a team that can contend for a Super Bowl, right? Not guaranteeing they would win it, but just that they can contend, they can get to a Super Bowl. The Bears, I've seen too many inconsistencies this season for me to just be like, all right, now Caleb did good in a couple of games in a row. Now all of a sudden, I think they can get to the Super Bowl because I just don't. Like I gotta see when the dominance has to be consistent for a longer period of time, because I don't have any playoff resume for you.
So I'll say this: if the Bears are the number one seed and everything's got to come through Chicago, I think Caleb could potentially lead them to a Super Bowl. Chicago's a very tough place to play. We talk about New England. Chicago may be even tougher to play in with weather-wise. And when you look at the other quarterbacks, like you said, it's going to be a lot of first-time guys. You know, a lot of guys who never had to play in that atmosphere that would have to go to Chicago and win. I think they would have a really good shot. But with that being said, let's just be real. I cannot think of any quarterback in their first playoff run who never played in the playoffs that came in and led their team to a Super Bowl. It's never happened.
No, Mahomes didn't do it that first. That was
He did not go to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of quarterbacks who were young who win a playoff game or two, and they might even get to the conference championship. Jaden Daniels got to the conference championship last year and lost. Russell Wilson, his first year, got who?
Brock Purdy
He didn't take him to the Super Bowl his first year.
That was okay. No,
yeah, they lost in the NFC Championship. Remember, that's when he gets hurt against Philly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So the history has shown us that no matter how good you are, when it's your first time in the playoffs, you could probably get a win or two. It's happened. Like you said, Mahomes did it. Purdy won some games. We saw Russell Wilson win some games. We saw Jaden Daniels win some games last year, right?
They did make it to the NFC Championship.
Right. So you can win games, but to get to the Super Bowl in your first run, it does not happen. Like I said, I can't think of any quarterback. And I'm saying this, and then it just popped in my head. The only quarterback that I remember ever doing it is Tom Brady. That was his first playoff run.
Yeah.
And they went to the Super Bowl. And that was more so because of the defense. And let's never forget the Tuck rule changed everything. If that gets called a fumble, they lose in their first playoff game and they never make the Super Bowl.
And that's
right.
That's everything.
But he's the only quarterback that I can think of in the last 20 some odd years, 30 years that can say, and that right. And again, we're talking about the one of one, but he's the only one that has said, not only is this my first time in the playoffs, we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Other than that, it does not happen. So I'm going to say, just for the sake of this question, no, he can't lead them to the Super Bowl because there is no precedent of it really happening outside of Tom Brady.
Yeah, he ain't no Tom Brady. So, all right. Our main man, Will. What up? What it do? Bolts win 4 straight with worst line in the NFL. I think Jay Herbo been hit most in the NFL, but carrying us. Revenge game this week versus Texans. Then at Broncos week 18. Potentially for the division, AFC crown is wide open. It is. You're absolutely right, Will. It is. It's anybody's to win right now. We've seen the teams that we thought would guarantees lose several times. You know what I'm saying? So it is wide open, and with all of the health issues that the Chargers have dealt with this. You can't hear me, Eric?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I hear you now. Mm-hmm.
With all of the injuries that the Chargers have dealt with this season, they're still in the mix. They still got a chance. Now playoffs, maybe it's gonna be a little more difficult. Without that healthy O line, but they here. They did it. They did enough to keep themselves in the mix. and to give themselves a chance coming down to the end of the season.
I think enough isn't being said about the Chargers. They're 11-4. That offensive line has dealt with injuries all year. It started in the preseason with Rashawn Slater. It's continued on. We know Jay Herbo's playing with a broken bone in his hand. They've had injuries at running back. This team has been very, very gritty. And I said this to Will yesterday. I am impressed by the Chargers because I've said before, Jay Herbo's got to take that step up. If he's the star that people claim he is, at some point you got to start winning some of these close games. You got to lead your team to these victories, even when it isn't all going your way. And that's what I've seen from Jay Herbo this year. Even when it doesn't go their way, he will make the plays late in the game that can be the difference between a win and a loss. And to me, they are a very scary team because this defense is good. This defense isn't getting the respect that they probably deserve. Everybody's talking about the Texans. Everybody's talking about the Broncos. Everybody's talking about the Seahawks. But the Charger defense, very quiet as kept, very good defense, very physical defense. They make a lot of plays in their secondary. They're a scary team. This Texan game is going to be a good one for them. I wish the NFL should have actually flexed it. They should have made the Chargers the late game on Saturday as opposed to Ravens-Packers because I think this game, not only it being a rematch from the playoffs last year between the Texans and Chargers, this game I think is going to tell us a lot about who could be the sneaky underdog team in the AFC because both these teams are built very similarly. Again, very good defenses, very smart quarterbacks, good coaching. This is going to be a really good game. This might be the best game of the weekend, Will. I wish they would have made this the 8 o'clock game. But we're going to learn a lot because Jay Herbo got beat up by the Texans in the playoffs last year. And the Texans are the hottest thing smoking right now. So this is a really, really good matchup right before the end of the season. And the Texans need it. The Texans are 10-5. They got to finish out strong. Right now they're in position for the playoffs. But depending on what happens tonight, if the Colts can get an upset tonight, then they put pressure on the Texans to have to win next week. So I want to see that game against the Chargers. That's going to be a good one.
Yep. Shout out to Hoop Central. He says, what did you all think of the 2026 Naismith Hall of Fame nominees? Candace Parker, Blake Griffin, Jamal Crawford, Joe Johnson, Elena Del Don. Everyone can't get in, so who are sure locks to get in? Crazy thing is, I'm going to be honest with you, is from this list, the two that stand out to me that I feel like should be guaranteed spots are Candace Parker and Elena Del Don.
I was going to say the same thing.
That's great.
I really was because no disrespect to Blake, Jamal Crawford, Joe Johnson. I never viewed those guys as Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah, unless we just put anybody in.
Yeah, no, they were good players. Don't get me wrong. ISO Joe is one of the best scorers the game has ever seen. We know Jamal Crawford multiple times 6th man of the year. But
Candace Parker got more MVPs than all three of them guys combined.
I was going to say the women on this list, I think the women on this list have a stronger resume to get in than the men. And
Della Donna's an MVP as well.
Yeah, Della Donna's an MVP because, listen, Blake, Jamal, Joe Johnson, none of those guys have ever been not even an MVP, not even a top 5 finish for MVP.
Yeah.
They never were guys that you was like, yo, he's killing the league right now. No, they're good players, but you never looked at those guys as, I don't even know if any of those guys even got like a first team All NBA.
We didn't even start talking about Joe Johnson like that literally till like his last 3 years in the league. So, you know what I mean? And then Blake probably, I feel like, is the one where it's like he could have been a legit Hall of Famer if not for the injuries, right? So, but this is going to be a year where, I mean, hopefully they get it right because Candace Parker and Elena Del Don, they got to go, right? So one of these guys is going to make it. It's going to be like the year when T-Mac got in first ballot Hall of Fame, and it was really nobody else on the ballot. You know what I'm saying, with him. So it's gonna be like that. But definitely, you know what I'm saying, shout out to Candace Parker and Elena Del Don. They definitely deserve it.
I'm looking, like I said, Blake was a good player. Blake is a 6-time All-Star. He's a 2-time All-NBA third team and a 3-time All-NBA second team.
Yeah.
He has no top 5 MVP finishes. Like I said, he's never been first team All-NBA. To me, that's not a Hall of Fame resume.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's just not. We can't just be putting guys in that wasn't even MVP caliber players during their pre. Like you in your prime, you wasn't even one of the best 5 players in the league, and we're gonna put you in the Hall.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless we just giving us everybody
Yeah,
a
nah.
Hall of Fame spot.
I know it's a weak class, but to me, the ladies are the only ones that should be going in on this class.
Yep. Shout out to Imani and Imani's pops. She says, "Hey, did you all see Kevin Durant on some podcast say something like he goes days without taking the shower and don't put lotion on and something about brushing his hair? What's wrong with this dude?" I think it was the water thing was about putting water on his hair.
Facts.
I don't think it was about him taking showers. So I ain't gonna put that on his jacket. But as far as the not brushing your hair, bro, listen, that's Houston's problem now. He ain't a Brooklyn problem no more. He don't represent a New York team because if not, we had to talk to him about that. But you gotta keep the wave brush in the Murrays or something.
I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. I guess we should be surprised, but just the way he keep his head, that let me know everything I need to know, bro.
Exactly. Squeezy says, I know you all don't talk much college hoops, but have you all seen Caleb Wilson of UNC play? A monster. I've actually been watching. It's funny because right now, because playing 2K so long and with my cousin, our franchise done went on about 14 seasons now. So we done seen damn near everybody that's coming out of college. So I've actually been a little bit more invested in seeing these kids. I've been watching Cam Boozer a lot. AJ Demanstar. I've been watching Caleb. So I actually this year, because of 2K, I've actually been in my groove of watching these kids and this draft class is going to be one of the deepest draft class that we've seen in some time.
Yeah, this is an amazing draft class. I've seen a little bit of Caleb, but between the Boozer twin and Duke, AJ Demanstas and BYU, there's some really good players in this year of college, and that's going to be in this draft. So it's going to be an exciting year to watch how this plays out.
Yeah. Oh, and Squeezy said, let me just throw this up. Even we just talked about it, but I think Terry Cummings was nominated for the Hall of Fame. Someone got to pull up the full list.
Think is Terry nominated or is he? I think
because he as a coach or as a player. Because as a player, he ain't had no Hall of Fame.
Nah, I don't think it would be as a coach. I think he after you've been on the ballot at a certain amount of times, then it transitions over.
Okay.
So I think he's at that part of it because he's not. There's no way he's a new on the list now. Terry Cummings stopped playing 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So I think he transitioned from the original ballot.
His last run. All right. DeLorean says the Pelicans have won 4 games in a row with Zion coming off the bench, but they got 2 studs in Queen and Fears. What they gonna do with DeJounte Murray? I mean, this team is still a Zion injury away from being in the lottery every year. So it's going to take – they're going to need a lot. But I do like what I've seen from Derek Queen. I think he's going to be a problem as well. DeJounte Murray, obviously, I think he'd be a help when he comes back. But are you going to have Zion when he comes back?
They won 4 games in a row, and they're still the worst team in the West.
Yeah,
they won 4 games in a row after losing 6 in a row. So, I mean, congratulations. You're 7-22 now. I get frustrated talking about Zion because I think we all know the potential that Zion had. But it's not going to work in New Orleans. It's not. And they do have those 2 good young players in Derek Queen and Fears. But they're going to have to make a move and move these veterans out the way and allow these young guys to play. Because as long as you have it there, it's always going to be that awkwardness of like, well, is it still Zion's team? Are they transitioning away? It's kind of the same thing we talked about with Philly. Until Philly officially transitions away from Embiid, it's always that shadow that hangs over the team. So the Pelicans, once they do that, I think they'll be a better team.
Yeah, Will said Derek Queen is already a problem. He should be on Team USA. He is nice. And
Derek Queen, yeah, that's an interesting conversation to have.
One thing about this draft class, the Wizards will pick the bum of Derek Queen makes me vomit every time I watch the Pelicans highlights. We'll be sick, man. I'm sorry, Will.
I mean, but Will has every right to be. I mean, he wanted Derek Queen, but also Derek Queen was a local guy. He's from Maryland. You know what I'm saying? So it made sense for the Wizards to take him, and they did.
And then for him to turn out
Right, and then for you to watch him, and he out there looking like modern day Chris Webber every night.
exactly. DeLorean says, I don't like Brunson's game, but he be killing folks. Had 47 last night. Where's he in Knicks history? I got him behind Patrick Ewing. Yeah, I think we kind of did this last year. I think he was on the cusp of the top five, about right
Yeah,
there.
he's definitely top 5 all time, Nick. I would say I don't. He's not right behind Patrick Ewing. I think you got to put a little. I mean, DeLorean. I don't know how old you are, but Walt Clyde Frazier got to be number 2.
Yeah,
Clyde helped the team win 2 championships. Clyde was the best player on both those teams. So Clyde would have to be number 2. But in terms of after that, Jalen Brunson has surpassed a lot of other people because I've always said Earl the Pearl Monroe was on that top 5 list. I think Brunson has surpassed him. He surpassed Bernard King on that list. And then if you want to go more modern, your Allen Houston's, your Carmelo Anthony's. Brunson's ahead of all those guys. To me, it's only Pat, it's Clyde Frazier, and it's Jalen Brunson. Those are the top 3 Knicks of all time.
there you go. Pooh says, Trip, how your Lakers lose to the Clippers? Clippers are trash. Well, Luka went out that game. He had was a leg contusion or something like that. He went out like halfway through that game. So that's how. But I ain't gonna go too much on it because then y'all gonna say because you know where that's gonna lead to next. The conversation is we're gonna have to go to next. All right. So we're just gonna move on. And I'm gonna take Hoop Central's comment. Isaiah Thomas on lack of evolution in the NBA. They eat the same, talk the same. Everybody in the NBA is the same size and body type. Agree. Everybody, I mean, unless you're saying everybody's a super athletic freak now, then yeah, I guess that would be true. But I don't, is he say? I mean, when you talk about lack of evolution, that means the league is not good, and I disagree with that. I think there's a lot of guys that are super talented, that have come into the league within the last 5 years, and I think the league is going to be in good shape moving forward because now, even though we had that little drought where it was like we didn't know none of the college players coming in, once the ladies started getting lit, this year's draft class is going to change a lot of that.
I think the NBA is in a great place. I think what Isaiah is really talking about, I mean, talk the same, eat the same, all that. I mean, I don't know about all that. But I think what he's talking about is I think all these players want to have the same skill set. You don't have bigs who want to come in and actually be bigs. You don't have point guards that actually want to be point guards. Everybody wants to have the same skill set. Everybody wants to have the handle that leads into the 3-point shot. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what he's talking about, the evolution of the game. There's a reason why we say we don't have any more traditional point guards because none of these guys want to be a traditional point guard. None of these guys want to be a traditional big, right? Everybody now is either stretch 4 or stretch 5 now. Every guard is a combo guard now. So I think that's what he means when he talks about the lack of the evolution of the game. Too many of these players have the same skill set and they're okay with playing just like 20 other guys.
Pooh says, Brandy and Monica has just finished up a great tour together. Who's got the bigger hits and better songs? Because it's difference in who has better songs and who has the bigger hits. I mean, they both got a lot of hits. What I will say is I think Brandy's had the bigger career, but it's because of the combination between her music and her acting.
I was gonna say I think it's Brandy. Yeah, I guess maybe it is Brandy. I mean, they both had great careers.
Yeah,
and I think I think it's great for them that they were able to have this tour all these years later. It speaks to their longevity and it speaks to their fan base. But I think maybe probably Brandy does.
Yeah, if I had to choose, I guess I would say Brandy. All right, Dion Hoops page says the Thunder have lost a few of late. Do y'all still think they break the Warriors record? I wouldn't push for it. I mean, listen, it's hard to win 70 games in a season, 71, 72. It's hard to for anybody. But I think they would have to go on a crazy run now again to really to do it. But who knows?
They set the standard so high. It's crazy, right? Shout out to Dion Hoop's favorite. He said they lost a few recently. They're 8-2 in their last 10. So I don't think they're in a slump or anything.
A lot for them.
I don't think they're in a slump. And they're 25-3 on the season, Trip. So when you lose 2 games in your last 10, you set the bar so high that people's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe. Nah, but they're still on pace. And if they run off a 14-game winning streak right now, we talk about them being 39-3 and something like that, then we'll go back to it. But I think they got a chance to break the record still.
All right, y'all did it, not me. Dion Hoops page says, y'all ever in y'all mind watching LeBron James play and be like, Brian, why are you still playing? Yeah, he can still play, but is it to put the points totals way out of reach? Just more of his flaws are being seen. Well, the point total is going to be out of reach no matter what, right? Here's why. Because you'd have to, in order for someone to be able to score the amount of points that LeBron did, you'd have to not shortchange them on a year. And since you can't come into the league at 18 right now, it'd be difficult for someone to surpass LeBron anyway. And it's bad enough you would have to have the career length, the health that LeBron has had over the years to do that. So even with him playing right now, it'd be one thing if we coming into the season, LeBron was ranked 50. But when LeBron is still ranked 10 and coming into the season, let that man cook till he can't cook no more.
I mean, I've been said it's frustrating watching LeBron a little bit, but I mean, who are we to tell him he can't play? Like Tripp said, he's still at a really high level. Like LeBron is still a top 15, 20 player in the league right now. So to say, hey, now is he adding more stats and making things further out of reach? Absolutely. But what else is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to just suit up and say, hey, just put me on a bench? Like, no, he's going to play. And that's what's going to happen. The point record, I don't think, is ever going to be broken. To the point you mentioned, Tripp, him coming straight out of high school gave him an extra year that most guys don't really have. The second part of that is if you look at the top 3 scorers of all time, they have one thing in common. They all played 20 years. And you got to play 20 years at a high level without any significant injuries. Mm-hmm. Ron, Karl Malone, Kareem all did that. You're not going to get that again. Between load management, between, like you said, guys having to spend a year in college, you're not going to get somebody that's going to get close enough to that record because they're just not going to have enough time. So I don't think that ever gets broken. Now, if we ever get a 4-point line in the NBA and then we get like a future Steph Curry who's just hitting a bunch of 4-point plays, then maybe he'll threaten it. But for the most part, Braun is in year 22.
Yeah. It was already out of reach.
That's why I always said when he broke the record, breaking the record, points record is more of a tribute to your longevity in the game because you have to have to have 20 years in to even get close to that record. Vince Carter played 20 years and didn't get close to that record.
Nowhere near it.
Right, nowhere near it.
The top 20 in scoring. So
that's what I mean. Like, you got to have the longevity and the production to even come close to that. I don't think we're ever going to see that again.
Yeah. Let me throw up these Brandy comments really quick because I know we kind of talked about it. Will said, Ray J's big sis for the win. Brandy and I are the same age, and when that debut album dropped, you had to be there. And Kyrie says, Pooh, I'm rolling with Monica. Brandy might be a better pure singer, but Ninjas would play Monica in the truck before Brandy. Did y'all see the video Beyonce seen Brandy come in and went the other way? Supposedly they got some type of issues.
Maybe they do.
Let me see here. Let me go down to Money. All right. Monty says Kathy Boswell, Cheryl Cook, and Tina Hutchinson legendary interviews. I watched them again, and they won't say it, but I feel they in the same ways they feel are overlooked a little bit. I feel with Tina still a little hurt in her heart. I feel Cheryl Miller and her sit down or even talk, they would get along. And if Cheryl admits Tina was a problem, would heal Tina, I believe all. Well, I want to say this: Tina is healed. Okay. She's a very happy person. We actually are in communication. As a matter of fact, we were texting each other this weekend after Alabama won. But yeah, shout out to all the ladies, and they ain't never gonna be overlooked as long as real fans, real talk is here. I'm gonna just say that because we gonna always show them love, and we gonna always welcome, you know what I'm saying, legends to the show. And they'll all pass back through us at some point. Cheryl Cook, I was, I told you guys last week, she had just hit me up last week trying to link us with another legend that, to come on to the show. So, they, and like I said, as long as real fans, real talk is here, they ain't not gonna be overlooked.
Yeah. Great interviews, and shout out to the women. And I think there was a part of Tina that did feel, overlooked, obviously, because we talked about it with her about why wasn't she contacted about something, with the NCAA, being that it was her record that was being broken. Why did it take a small little clip on ESPN for people to even know her name or know her story? But I think ultimately as well, speaking of Tina, I think Tina's at great peace with how her career went. And as we talked about basketball, and she talked about her life after basketball, playing overseas, she seemed very comfortable. She didn't seem hurt or seem like she was holding on to the glory days. She was, I think, more happy that people wanted to hear her story. Again, when you talk about somebody who's accomplished a lot of things at a time when people weren't paying attention to the women's game, you get overshadowed. People kind of forget, hey, there were some great women athletes out there prior to the Caitlin Clarks and the Jujus. So that was the impression I got. But I think all the interviews were great.
And look, we're gonna do our part to keep them stories alive.
That's a fact.
Let me see. Will says one thing about this draft class. I put that one up. My fault. Let me come down here. Oh, okay, here's the one. I want to see Detroit and New York in the playoffs. I feel like Cade would embarrass. Oh my goodness. Eric, I already know. I'm not gonna. We're not even gonna go. All right.
They played in the playoffs last year. Why are we acting like we didn't see that series?
Exactly. We're gonna take this last.
But let me hear their excuse. I know Will will give us an excuse why it wasn't the same.
Will says, I didn't hear about this till yesterday, and I don't know if it's true, but did Bron take Kobe's locker and parking spot? If so, middle finger to that dude. I'm not even gonna go in this right now because this is we know Will's a LeBron hater, so I'm not even about to feed into this right now because if I do, we're gonna be on the air for another half an hour talking about Bron, and we try to not do that. But y'all tend to keep bringing Bron up. It's like y'all want me to have to go in and defend LeBron, and I've been trying to be cool. Eric, we don't even be putting LeBron topics in the rundown. Y'all be saying stuff, and then I got to go in, and I'm trying not to do that. So I tell you what. Well, love you, man. We're gonna get right back to it this week. We doing a Christmas show this week because I'm good this week. I'm off.
We'll talk off air. I don't know if we're gonna do one this week because I know it might be a little difficult being that it's Christmas Eve.
All right. Well, let me know.
We'll talk off air. I'll reach out to Will and see what he got going on. See if we're gonna do it.
All right. So Eric, give us a final thought, man.
Final thought. I want to say again, shout out to all the supporters. We greatly appreciate you guys. Not only rocking with us on Mondays, but on Wednesdays. Be on the lookout. We'll let you know if we're gonna do this Wednesday, next Wednesday, because I know it's tricky right now. But I hope you guys are being safe and enjoying your holiday season. I want to put y'all on. I know we got so many basketball fans. If you guys haven't already, there's a documentary on YouTube that came out earlier this year called Open Book. It's the story of Book Richardson, who is the coach for Gauchos, New York City Gauchos, but he was the assistant coach in Arizona when that DeAndre Ayton scandal happened. It's a great story. I had heard bits and pieces of his story, but to actually hear him talk about it and see the footage of what took place, he got wronged by the NCAA. And it's crazy that after that, now we get NIL, players get paid. Everyone acts like none of this ever happened or ruined anybody's life. But if you go on YouTube, it's about an hour and a half. It's called Open Book. And I bring this up because I actually had the privilege of meeting him the other day. We got to speak for a few minutes. Great guy, fully takes accountability for his part and what took place, but also feels like I'm fighting to get my career back after working so hard to get to that point. Again, to be an assistant coach at the University of Arizona and be responsible for all the recruiting to now be back in New York City coaching an AAU team, it's a major difference. But shout out to him. And again, guys, check that one out, Open Book on YouTube. It's really good.
I'm gonna just use my final thought, just in case we don't get on the air. I know, shout out to Will. I know he just said he's good for Christmas Eve, but just in case we don't, I just want to say, Merry Christmas to not just our supporters, but to everyone. Y'all be safe during this holiday season. Don't go too crazy, coming out the pocket in the wallet. I know we love our kids and our family members, but don't go too crazy and you can't pay that rent next month.
That's a
All right?
fact.
That's all I'm
That's
gonna
a
say.
fact.
All right, happy holidays to everybody. Happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Salute to you guys and for everybody that continues to support Real Fans, Real Talk. Oh, big shout out to Hoop Central too. I wanted to make sure I send some love to Hoop Central because he really be going hard in the paint for Real Fans, Real Talk. Always trying to get cats onto the show. And, you know what I'm saying? You got to appreciate that type of support. So got to make sure I show some love to Hoop Central. With that being said, make sure you guys are following us on all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, youtube.com/ For the Fans Productions, facebook.com/ Real Fans Real Talk. And of course, if you're not in the New York City area on Thursday nights and you can't watch us on Verizon 43 from 8 to 9 p.m., don't worry. You can watch from anywhere in the world. All you got to do is hit up that website, realfansrealtalk.com, click the red button on the homepage, and you can watch us. Really, if you were to Mars, you could watch us. If you know, if they, I don't know how the internet services on Mars, but I'm just saying you can still watch us. All right. Oh, make sure you guys are subscribed to the two best podcasts moving. That's the Real Fans, Real Talk, and the Sanchez Show podcast. We got a lot more in store for you guys. So just stay locked in with us. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, and my brother Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.